So hello everyone. So today we're going to see about what is Dev stacks. Okay, so this is also part of cloud computing here. So let's discuss about Dev stack. Dev stack. Dev stack is a series of extensible script used to quickly bring up complete OpenStack. Okay, so we discussed about OpenStack in previous lecture only. So here, DevStack is a, I can say, the series of extensible script. It is a script, okay, which is used to quickly bring a complete OpenStack. तो DevStack ये हम लोग complete OpenStack bring करने के लिए use करते हैं, okay. सो इन्वायरमेंट बेस्ड ऑन द लेटेस्ट वर्जन मतलब जो लेटेस्ट वर्जन है of everything means here it is a series of extensible script used to quickly bring up complete OpenStack environment based on the latest version of everything from Git master. It is used to interactively as development environment as the basics of much of the OpenStack project functional testing. So how do I use DevStack here? So DevStack's example, let is set by set. Step first, you have to install Ubuntu. You know you have studied in your Linux also, right? In last year. Then we have to download a DevStack from Git. Ubuntu install करने के बाद DevStack हम download करना है Git से. Then take snapshot from Ubuntu virtual machine. It is virtual machine. Then copy and edit local configuration. Then create a non-root user called stack and long in the user. A lot can go wrong during the desktop run, and there were few inbuilt tools to help you. Okay, so dev stack able to this service to produce performance log during dev stack run. This will be logged to the journal and also CSV file. So here, okay, this is a little bit you can say after Ubuntu you can fire this what commands. Okay, so memory tracker. So the memory tracker service predictably monitors RAM uses and provides consumptions output when available memory is seen to the to be failing, that is process are consuming memory. It also provides output showing log, okay, memory. So TCP dump. Okay, so TCP dump service to run the background TCP dump, you must set the TCP ARGS variable to something suitable. There is no default. For example, to trace ISCSI communication during a job in the OpenStack gate and copy the result into the long output you might use. Okay, so inspecting services by default, most service devstacks are running system units named devstack at the rate service. Okay, you can running the services. So with the help of this, you can run the services. So we are using this. Okay, then so patching services. So you want to make quick changes to running the service. The easiest way to do that is to change the code directly in OPT stacks at the rate deliver at this dollar service and restart the affected. Okay, so if you want to restart, then you have to mention first dollar, then OpenStack, then you can restart your services. Okay, then patching services. If you want to make quickly changes, if so, uh, listen, see this. Why we use this to run DevStack is used to run the any services and to change the quickly changes, then also we can use dollar devstack and see about this why we are using these commands. Okay, to here again here restart we are using this, right? So here let's discuss about if you want to make quickly changes to running the services, the easiest way to do that is to change code directly. So we are using devstack at the rate and cpu.service, which you can see in your on your screen only, right? So if you want change impact more than one demo, you can restart by as well. So if you want to change one more, then you can use this one. Okay, if you want to change. Okay, so but the service details is running. See, this is useful to running system. And for the okay, then if you want one and more changes, then you can do it. If you want quickly changes, then you can do it, right? So this is about this command only. Okay, if you one by one listen again, first command is used to means dev stack are running as a system units name dev stack at the rate and service name dot service. Okay, you can see running service with. Then here next one is if you want to make quickly changes to the running service, the easiest way to do that to change the code directly in slash opt slash stack slash at the dollar service and the restart the affected demos. If you want change impact more than during the can restart by as well, then you can use the sudo this one last dev stack at the rate and okay. Then testing and patches services. When testing a largest set of patches that will impact more than one services within a project, it is often less confusing to use customer git location and makes all you changes in a dedicated git tree. In your local configuration, you can add a repo, okay, for most project, repo branch for most project to use the custom git tree instead of the default upstream ones. So general. A dev stack is a written in unique shape script. It uses a number of bash ism, and so it's limited to bash version 4 and up. And compatibility cell script was chosen because it best is designed the state used to set up interact with the OpenStack component. DevStack official repository is located on opendev.org. Then you can say the one more link is there. HTTP open. Uh, Let me show you this link. So like this is located in this link. You can see. Okay. So beside the most master branch that tracks OpenStack chunks batches, a separate branch is maintained of OpenStack release, starting with stable Diablo. So contributing code to DevStack follows the usual OpenStack process as described in how to contribute in OpenStack Wiki DevStack. Okay, so project contains the usual link for blue sprint bugs and so on. So you know very well about blueprints, right? And bugs, you know very well what to say. Bugs mean. So great review queues is used for commits. So the primary script devstack is stack.sh. Okay, now we stack.sh, which is perform the bulk of work for devstack use cases. This is the script function that contain generally useful shell function and it's used by number of open script in devstack. A number of additional scripts can be found in tools directly that may be useful in supporting devstack installation of particular node are inform.sh to collect and report information about the install system and install.sh that handles installation of the packages for devstack. It is suitable for example to preload a system for making snapshot. Okay, so as you can see here, before and after. So let's discuss about execute running the stack and this. Okay, let's discuss about this one before and after this diagram. Okay, so stack was created to make job. stack क्यों बना? To create a job developing. Okay, to job purpose के लिए stack create किया गया. Then developing OpenStack. Okay, in a test and development environment, quicker, easier, and more understandable. But the easy with which it allow user to deploy OpenStack makes it a natural starting point for learning the framework. DevStack is a collection of document means command line interpreter shape script that are used to prepare an environment for configuration and deploy OpenStack. The choice of using shell script languages for DevStack was the code is intended to the read by humans and computers alike, and it used as source of the document development outside of raw code segment, and users can understand how this must be provided in a working system. So despite the during size and complexity of OpenStack framework, DevStack makes things look easy. Figure may so this in this figure it means diagram may look like you can say oversimplification, but it's a accurate system in design of the function of DevStack. User with very little experience with virtualization, storage, networking, or frankly Linux can be quickly get a single server OpenStack environment. So working it may be means here user have is if they have a little bit what you can say experience and virtualization storage networking or frankly linux can quickly get a single server OpenStack environment working in many ways like DevStack does is for OpenStack what OpenStack can do for infrastructure as you learn in first in previous only it simply and abstract it, but I don't want to give the impression that DevStack will be used to developing OpenStack in production. In fact, OpenStack circle, it is common to hear the first. A friend do not means let friend run the DevStack in productions. Okay, so we shall explore manual deployment of OpenStack. This manual exercise will allow you to learn about the configuration uh, option and component OpenStack and develop your ability to troubleshoot OpenStack deployment. We shall cover an automated deployment OpenStack that's intended to be used a production environment. So it's intended to use the production environment here. You shall prepare an OpenStack and deploy OpenStack using DevStack. You don't need to know much about Linux storage or networking to deploy a working single server OpenStack environment using this deployment. We shall walk through ways you can interact with OpenStack, and this will give you some families with both components and overall system. Then we shall discuss the OpenStack tenant model, which is how OpenStack is logically separate, control, and assign resource to the project. In OpenStack, terminology tenant and project can be used interchange. Finally, you shall take what you have learned and create a virtual machine in virtualization environment. So, so here, okay, Developing DevStack. So, as the name suggests, DevStack is the development tool. So, DevStack is known as a development tools, and it's relate OpenStack code in is under constant development. The support packages used by DevStack to deploy OpenStack code are also under development. When DevStack works, it works beautifully. But when it fails, things get ugly and first time user get very frustrated. Although a large part of this concept is dedicated to deploying OpenStack using DevStack. Okay, so there is no way to knowing from day to day if set of instruction will work with the latest version of DevStack and OpenStack. So if you want to set the instruction and it will be work, latest version of OpenStack and both DevStack. The same DevStack instruction might fail on Monday but work on Friday. So maybe it depend on the update versions. Hmm? To reduce readers' frustration, so virtual machine that contains DevStack deploy OpenStack instead is provide for this book. That is, a virtual machine can be used to test drive OpenStack with the limited hardware resource. The efforts in the event that DevStack does not work, for you are simply make use of company virtual machine. You can always try DevStack again when you have better grasp overall OpenStack framework. So it recommended that you attempt to deploy OpenStack using DevStack as outlined in the following steps. This process will be provide you with quickly access to framework while you build foundational understanding of OpenStack component. Although DevStack can be used to get started quickly, documented script hide nothing from you, and each OpenStack component is configured based on your need. It's even possible to use DevStack to deploy multi-server OpenStack environment. So creating a server for your DevStack deployment, you shall want to start with fish install of Linux. That will ensure that the dependency conflict and avoid it altogether. Recommended using Ubuntu 14.04, which is one of the most widely documented and tested Linux distribution for working with OpenStacks. On the long page, enter your username and password and click okay. Okay, so where we are, so here on the long page, enter your name, username and password and click sign if cloud support multi-domain model. You also need to enter your domain name. The top of the windows display your username. You can also access the setting tab OpenStack dashboard, setting tab or sign out the dashboard. What is OpenStack dashboard, also known as? OpenStack origin is web-based graphical interface. The cloud administrator and user can access to manage OpenStack compute, storage, and networking service for end user. Origin act as a self-service, portable for provision cloud resource. As cloud, you can say as cloud and user can you can use OpenStack dashboard to provide dashboard to provision your own resource within the limits set by administrator. You can modify the example provide this section to create other types and sites of server instance. So this is about this diagram. Let's discuss about dashboard. So the dashboard is available to note with the Nova dashboard server role. So here ask the cloud operation for host name of or public IP address from which you can access the dashboard and your username and password. So it first asks the cloud operators to host name and public IP address in dashboard. Okay. So open a web browser that has JavaScript and cookies enabled. In the address bar, enter the host name or IP address for the dashboard. So it will be like this. You can have to enter. Okay. Okay. So note, if certificate warning appears when you try to access your URL for the first time, self-sign certificate is in use, which is not considered trustworthy by default. Verify the certificate or add a exception in the browser to bypass the warning. On the login page, enter username and password and click sign in. So the top of the Windows display your username. You can also setting or sign out the dashboard. The visible tabs and function the dashboard depend on the access permission or roles in you of the user are logged in as. If you log in a end user the project, tap the display. If you log is an administrator, then project tab. Okay, and admin the tab and our display. मतलब यहाँ पे two tabs आएंगे, एक तो यूजर का एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर का. अगर यूजर का करोगे तो the project tab is display, project tab display होगा. और एडमिन का करेंगे तो एडमिन का करेंगे तो which tab will display, admin tab display होगा. Okay, so this is about your in dashboard. Okay, so OpenStack dashboard, project tab. Project are organizational unit in the cloud and are also known as tenant or account. Each user is a member of the one of more project. With a project, a user create manage instance from the project tab. You can view the manage and resource in a select project, including instance art and images. You can select the project from current project is the top of the tab. So basic operation here. Let's discuss. So basic operation let's discuss here. तो ये आपको ये आईपी एड्रेस डालने के बाद आप दो पॉइंट होगा एडमिन और यूजर. यूजर का करेंगे तो प्रोजेक्ट डिस्प्ले होगा. एडमिन का पर क्लिक करेंगे तो एडमिन टैब डिस्प्ले होगा. ओके, सो लेट्स डिस्कस अबाउट दिस वन बेसिक ऑपरेशन. OpenStack operation. Verify your cloud deployment. Verifying your OpenStack operation. Managing the cloud using the command like list images, list compute service. Then the managing images, adding an images using the dashboard. Managing instance, creating an instance using dashboard. Load balancer as the service is called labs. So using OpenStack API, how does OpenStack API works? Okay, let's discuss about this. At the basic level, OpenStack service provide an API through which your software can communicate with the service. The API RESTful interface, which means you send URL request to the service to issue your command. The format of the path in the URL determines what command you are issuing. So this is the first article in your OpenStack API tutorial series. If you would like to learn more about how to use OpenStack, the Linux Foundation offer OpenStack training course. OpenStack is an open source standard cloud computing platform. So it is a open source standard of cloud computing platform. It includes with the OpenStack is an API that you can use for writing software that manage cloud. You can write scripts that run as jobs to automatically allow server. For example, write application that allow a user to manage their own cloud server. The possibility are endless, but in order to accomplish such tasks, your software needs to communicate with the OpenStack installation using the API. In this tutorial, I get you up and running using OpenStack API. There are two ways you can use OpenStack API and SDK, and I have found that some people get bit confused about this. So I shall try to clear it at the basic level. OpenStack service provide API application programming interface. Okay, through which your software can communicate with the service. So OpenStack with the help of API it provide the with the help of OpenStack is provide API. So all are confused in OpenStack and SDK. So here OpenStack service provide API through which your software can communicate to the means with the service. Okay, the API is a RESTful interface, which means you send URL request to the service to issue your command. The format of the path in the URL determines what command you are issuing. So these URLs use the same HTTP protocol, that is hypertext transfer protocol, that web browser do. That means with the some RESTful interface, you cloud make some of the requests right from browser address. But that will only work if there are no custom information to include with the request. So that's not really the purpose of the browser anyway. Usually that's not the case. Instead, you shall make the request right from your program. So code or using command line utility such as call curl in one of the easiest way to send the request to the service. So you with the help of curl you can send the request to service. Much of what I am describing here initially does not only apply just to OpenStack. This concept typically apply to many different RESTful interface. For example, Amazon has an entire API for sellers, okay, to manage their product on Amazon site. The API uses this same concept both with the RESTful API and SDKs. Most such APIs, including OpenStack, are set up so that requests are built as URL paths. Open with protect portion that is command name followed by slash followed by additional parameter separate by slash, then you send the request, okay, using http get or http post. You know about get and post. There are other possibility beside the get and post, but these are the most commonly used. In addition, the URL itself for get request you something send additional data in the form of headers request, and for most you might specify data get sent along the request the form of post data. The first part of URL is called endpoint, and different services use different endpoints, and you can find out endpoints from their online documentations. The rationale behind SDK, okay, rotational behind the SDK here. While the API is basic pipeline of communication to service using API, okay, wait. Here SDK and this one, okay, let's discuss. We are discussing only. So while the API is a basic pipeline of communication to the service, using the API can be built customer, okay, and API can be built the consumer some unless you are just making a few requests. So using CURL to call the API might be fine, But if you are writing apps that need to make a lot of calls, you shall find yourself having to repeat a lot of same code overhand over depending on the languages you are using. You shall have to put together the data you want to send with the request build the URL and call into whatever libraries the languages has available from working HTTP request. Then you shall get back an HTTP status code and response which you might have to decode into a object your programming languages can understand. That's where SDKs come in and make a lot easier instead of putting together URLs and making HTTP requests, you shall just make function call behind the screen. These functions are putting together the URLs and data and making the API call for you. But from your end, it works just like any other code in the language. Generally, you shall use SDK that available for your programming language, and you shall only use the API if there isn't a SDK available in the case of OpenStack. There are SDKs for most popular language. However, before diving into the SDK, I find it's best to first study the documentation for API itself so that you know exactly what this SDK is doing. And that way, if the SDK is missing anything, you shall know what you need to get around the some shortcomings. Also, slides we are talking about open source. Here, if SDK doesn't meet your expectations, you could revise it or create a new SDK together. So client code here. So here client code. The process will work a bit differently with other provider. You can get information from API documentation on the providers on website. For Rackspace, you send a request either through CURL or URL to get what called an authentication token. You send along your request to username and password. Set up your account with the Rackspace Cloud Control Panel. So understanding the OpenStack API. Okay. So here the get started with OpenStack. Let's first explore the API itself. In order to use an OpenStack service, you need to get authentication. How this works depend on the services you are using. I decided to use Rackspace for this demonstrate primary because Rackspace has no most complete primary because Express has no most complete OpenStack implementations. Okay, the process will work differently, but other provider you can get information from API documentation on the provide on website. So and here tenant model operation here. So let's discuss about this. A multi-tenant cloud is a cloud computing architecture that allow customer to share computing resource in the public or private. Each tenant data is isolated, the remaining invisible to other. In multi-tenant cloud system, user have individual space for storing the project and data. Each section of cloud network with multi-tenant architecture includes complex permission with the intention of allowing each user access to only their stored information along with security from other cloud tenants. Within the cloud infrastructure, each tenant data is managed mm, tenant and can only reach with the cloud provider permission. In private cloud, consumer or tenant may be different individual or groups within a single company, while in public cloud, entire different organization may safely share their server space most public cloud providers. use multi-tendency model. It allows them to run server with the single interface, which is less expensive and helps to update. So multi-tenant cloud versus single tenant cloud here. Okay. So in single tenant cloud, only one customer is hosted on a server and generated access to do it. Due to multi-tenancy architecture hosting multiple customer on the same server, it is important to fully understanding and security and perform the provider is offering single tenant cloud given customer more control over the manage of data storage security and performance. Then, so OpenStack distributing resource based on tenants, the project OpenStack allow for multi-tenancy on the same deployment environment. So multi-tenancy means that multiple user, department, or even organization can share same OpenStack deployment without interfacing with each other. Configuration, I shall explain the OpenStack tendency model in more deep. But now it's sufficient to know about DevStack, create simple project roles and user account for you. The admin account, as the name suggests, has administrative access to your newly stack OpenStack developer deployment. The demo account has access to the demo project with access right representative or normal OpenStack user. Initially, both accounts use the default password of DevStack. The relations of user and roles in OpenStack identify the tenant scan through a project department, likely hotels room. They are available in different configuration. So identify service as name implies it is a system record for all identify user roles, tenants, and so on. So across the OpenStack framework, it provides a common shared identity service for authentication, authorization, and resource for all OpenStack components. This service can be configured to integrate with a backend service such as Microsoft Active Directory and lightweight directory access protocol, or it can be operate independently, support multiple. So from authentication including username and password, token based consideration, and AWS style. So this is about your all DevStack and OpenStack. So today's lecture over here. Thank you.